This podcast is sponsored by Go Play Sports, the brand new mobile app changing the game for grassroots. Whether it's Sunday League or five-a-side, Go Play Sports makes it easy to track attendance, manage teams and cut out the manual admin. No more endless group chats, no more chasing payments, just turn up and play. Go Play Sports. Download now from your app store.
Let's kick it off. My name's Ash. I'm joined today by Az, Ron, Scott and Cabs. We're going to be reflecting on the Manchester United performance against Chelsea, having won 2-1 at Old Trafford on Saturday. We're also going to look at the Merseyside Derby, have a quick look at the Arsenal-Man City game and talk about who's going to win the title. So Scott, going to be one of those rare occasions where I can come to some Manchester United fans and say we won a bloody game. What was your take on Saturday?
Right? Absolutely crazy. That's why I'm wearing a Man United top. So proud to wear it. We've won a game. It's the 9th time we've been able to celebrate winning a league game. It's crazy. For me, obviously there was a massive bit of luck with the sending off. That's obvious. I think it does, although I'm not going to complain. It's 3 points. We're never going to remember the performance or the sending off. It's going to be the 3 points, but I do feel it masked the same issues. And when it went to 10v10, if Chelsea didn't take all their attacking players off in the first 20 minutes, I think the game might have been different. So, it's if, buts and maybes. But I felt the start again was pretty much similar to pretty much every 15 minutes in all of the other previous games. You know, high press, fast, and then it kind of peters. So
this one felt a bit different, Scott, for me. The aggressiveness at the beginning with the 50-50s felt better than I've ever seen under Ruben.
But it's Chelsea, though, isn't it? And this is what I mean about we get up for these. We get up for Arsenal. Yeah. We didn't get up for City, but we got up for Chelsea. And it's kind of like, are we that kind of football club that we get up for these so-called top six and the rest of the Premier League? You know, are we going to get up for Brentford? And we're going to put in exactly the same performance, like you said, that high energy, that real tackling kind of thing. I just, there's no proof there to say that performance or that kind of high energy tackling is going to, replicate for Brentford. So, and that's why I expect it should be like this every single game. But yeah, I just think it was great to have 3 points. I can't argue. It was buzzing just to get a win.
Nice feeling waking up on Sunday morning. Eh?
Oh, and the thing is, it is nice because you can watch the rest of the Premier League games on Sunday and just literally, take the mick of the rest of them while you just sitting back with a win. But yeah, I just still think it masks quite a lot of issues, to be honest.
As I know you were in Manchester, managed to find a TV or a screen?
I did, yeah, just about. I actually missed the sending off. I don't understand why that was luck. I thought that was a good move. I've just rewatched it again just to make sure it was a good move. Flick on header by Sesko, and Mbumo's throw on goal. And wasn't that a red card, Scott? You don't think it was a red card? You think we got lucky?
50-50 to me.
Really?
It wasn't. I don't think it was clear.
I think it looked
enough.
like 2 red cards to me. It looks like a bad challenge. It looks like violent conduct anyway, high. And it's a denial of a goal-scoring opportunity because the goalkeeper's off his line. Bad judgment by...
Okay, so maybe I reiterate. Having a man sent off in the first 5 minutes, there is an element of luck of that. Was it lucky to get a man sent off? No. But we did have an element of luck that they were down to 10 men after 5 minutes. There you go.
Due to our good play, right? We should have had a goal. I'm actually curious in terms of, I was thinking maybe there should be a rule change where you get to decide if you have the goal given or the red card or something. Because I was like, I take the goal. That was a good move. I think looking at that as well, it's not a header that I think Højlund makes. So it was good good play by Sesko, actually. Like, I think part of the reason we're signing him is that aerial ability, and I think Mbumo makes a really good run there. Clear on goal, misjudgment. Yeah, and the rest of I think we played a really good half because it didn't give us a goal. You're still 0-0 at that stage, and then you need to still capitalise on it. Yeah, and it was great to actually score 2 good goals. I think if you want to talk about luck, I thought Bruno was offside, and then I was like, oh, he's off, and then
you thought he was off.
Yeah, I thought it was initially, and then I was like, oh my god, and I was looking at the screen, I'm like, there's a foot there. Foot. Wait a minute. I was like, that's where you talk about fine margins, right? That is it. Tosin's foot, one of the Chelsea defenders' foot is Chalobah's foot is just literally there, and I'm like, oh my god, that he might be on. And Bruno was in my FPL team as well. I was thinking
it took ages though, that decision, right?
Yeah, because it was clearly marginal, and I was thinking, how does this automated offside thing work? Because surely it should have been quicker.
Yeah.
And that's the luck you need to get the goal. Once you've got the goal, that's the big one to me to get ahead. Really nice to see us capitalising on that and keep going to get the second goal. Did you question? I was a bit confused when I talk about luck. I think that to me that's a red card. Was Casemiro's really a second yellow? Seemed odd to me.
50-50, I would say. 50-50.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen those given in games, and yeah.
What was it given for? Do you think it was for the challenge, which he wins the ball, or was it for the holding the chest?
Was he pulling back his shirt?
Yeah, I think it's the shirt pull.
Was he pulling back his shirt, or did he just have his arm around him?
Arm around him, grabbed him, didn't he, from the front?
But from the front, right? It wasn't, the usual tug and the shirt's coming back, and that is a definite yellow because you're stopping the guy running away. This felt more like he was trying to get round him to make the tackle. And I
just thought it was naive.
I mean, you could see Chelsea would.
Yeah. What was more naive was the first challenge. I'm like, Casemiro, stop going to ground. And I think at some point Ruben's got to move on from this guy. I know we don't have midfielders. We got Kobe and Ugarte on the bench. Just play one of these guys. Hard to say that though, because Casemiro also scores, right? So he's useful in both boxes. But in that kind of tearing around the middle, that kind of I was really worried then coming into the second half. But we defended brilliantly. I don't think they had one chance and they scored from it. Did they have another chance? I don't remember them having another shot or saved by the goalkeeper. So
I think they only had a disallowed goal, but I don't think the goalkeeper.
It was way offside though, and that was a set piece. It felt like every chance that they created was from set pieces, which is our weakness. But in the general play, I thought we controlled them well. I thought De Ligt was just fantastic. He's just growing into his sort of role. I thought Harry was great, and I don't know why again Ruben subbing off a centre back. It was just like, dude, Harry's playing well. Why are you subbing him? But I thought we defended really well. And the thing that we missed out on was all those chances that weren't really chances, are like opportunities to attack. We often misplace things. One thing I would say, I was in Manchester and I was driving to get to a TV, and honestly, it was biblical. The level of rain, only in a monsoon in Thailand have I ever seen anything like this. So I can imagine, it looked bad on TV, but you cannot imagine how bad it was in real life. And to play football in those conditions. So if you're watching some of these misplaced passes and control and stuff, honestly, it was horrendous. I thought it was so bad that I was worried it could get called off, because if it kept going like that,
can you imagine?
Are you in Manchester, Scott?
Yeah, well, Wilmslow, which is about 20 minutes away from Manchester.
I was in Wilmslow
but
as well.
But it was the same.
Yeah. So not far from the airport,
part.
right? Yeah, no, I was closer to the airport than like the top of Wilmslow Road. And were you there with the rain?
Yeah,
it was crazy.
Well, that's why I messaged thinking that, given it was already starting to be waterlogged at half time, it was like, this ain't going to hold up if it continues like this monsoon kind of thing.
Unbelievable. So like some of these misplaced passes, I was like, you know what? This is not a football condition. This is having a fight. And I thought in that kind of conditions, we put in a really good fight and deserved to win. So I think, you can say luck, but it's like, if Maresca had done this or done this, he didn't. Whatever he did wasn't right. And I think our players on the pitch deserve the 3 points. And I'm glad if it was luck that we got some luck for once, because we haven't had, I don't think, that luck. And yeah, I'm glad, like you said, Scott, that you can, watch the Baku Formula One on Sunday without pain in your heart. Until Piastri put it in the wall, of course.
Ron, from your southern spot with less rain, what was that second half? Could you bear it, or did you understand Ruben's substitutes?
Well, just coming back to football kits for a start, similar to Scott, this is only the 9th time in the league that I'm actually wearing this top. Yeah, doesn't happen very often, so I'm going to enjoy that moment.
Come on.
Oh, I love the
Yeah, give us
stats,
the
Ron.
name, Scott.
You should update us on the win percentage, Ron, as well.
It's 28% now.
28.
I don't have the 28 point something. I don't have that for you, but it's 28%.
Where's that one?
there?
Where's that 0.17 gone?
I'm not quite sure about that, but it's 28%. What did I make of it? Beginning of the game, I thought the aggression, the intensity, credit to our team.
Do you
They've
think
had a lot of
that's
flack
one of the
all
best
season
starts
from-
you've seen under Ruben? I thought
Yeah.
that personally.
Yeah, for
I know
sure.
it was only
Yeah.
about 40 minutes, but it's still good to see something, right?
He spoke during the game. If you listen to his pre-match, he spoke a lot about the aggression, the intensity, and these players came out, from the get-go, the first whistle. Of course, sending off helps. We played not 85 minutes. We played the first half rather, with a man advantage, which obviously helps. But the way we came out of the blocks was super impressive. I thought a week of training, obviously, no midweek games, potentially is that benefiting as well. Interestingly, if you think about the 6 teams in the Champions League, only one of them actually won on the weekend. So as you made the point last week about, the Champions League and that now having a knock-on effect, are we starting to see that already from sort of game week 1 where, 1 in 6 have actually won their game, and that was Liverpool. And then I thought Sesko, and he actually had probably his best game so far. I was really disappointed that Ruben took him off in the second half.
Why do you think he did?
Sorry?
Why do you think he did take him off?
I think obviously he had to bring Ugarte on, so you had to shore up that midfield, and he probably looked at his options. And I just think he thought Mbeumo, he couldn't take Mbeumo off, so probably play Mbeumo through the middle. But I feel like we just lose a focal point in this team. And Mbeumo is not a number 9 as such, particularly what we are doing at the moment. And Bayende obviously has had his critics, but his kicking, his distribution's been okay this season. And we saw it from the goal when he played it up to Sesko, who wins the header, and Mbeumo's clear on goal. So I thought he's probably thinking that we need... Sesko, obviously he's got to take him off, but he needs to have that sort of focal point in midfield. But I just felt like we lost that aerial presence with taking Sesko off. And in the second half, I felt like, we sort of just sat back a little bit too much. We were too defensive. Possession stats were 70-30 in Chelsea's favour. And that's the piece where I think, we don't really want to see this coming into our play. We're 2-0 up, we're playing at home. And we were sort of inviting pressure, and you just wonder, and Chelsea got it back to 2-1, but, had the game gone on for another 10, 15, 20 minutes, potentially, who knows?
30,
coming
40,
on strong
50
towards
minutes,
the
I
end.
mean, come on. No, they had what? Come on, guys. They had one shot in the whole second half.
No, but
I know,
if
but
you look at towards the end of the game, they were crossing a lot, and Bayende had to push out one ball, and there was a bit of carnage. But it's going to happen in a game like this. We're low on confidence, and it was all about getting.
They needed
result.
the result, right? That was it. It was like that. You could feel.
Of course, no, it's all about the win. No, definitely, yeah. But we saw signs. I mean, one thing I thought was lots of crosses coming into the box, and we haven't really seen that much. And maybe with Sesko's presence as well. And one thing I noticed, I don't know if you guys did as well, but we talk a lot about the system. We talk about 3 at the back, but I sort of saw Dorgu play pretty high up, and Mazraoui sort of make himself almost into a back 4. And at times that would allow Bruno to sort of go further up into midfield. And at times, we were a back 4. And you just wonder, with all the conversations and all the media attention around it and all the questions to Ruben, and he has said, look, slowly he will transition. And probably for the first time in that Chelsea game, I really began to see that at times, we had a back 4 with Mazraoui and Dorgu on the other side, really high up.
It's been happening a lot. People just don't watch the games properly. There's a lot of times when
Not as much as this. This was really
no,
evident, I thought.
like
And perhaps maybe with Chelsea having their 10 men, perhaps, it's a bit more easy to do because you've got more control, you should have more possession, and we did in that first half. But I thought it was really evident in this game.
yeah, no, it's just it's the our team does go into a 4-4-2 block off the ball a lot. It does it a lot. Like you're supposed to move around positionally. And the same thing as well is if you watch City, Arsenal, Liverpool, often a back four moves into a three, but where a fullback comes into midfield and they become a 3-2. So like those movements happen a lot. We haven't executed well, I would say, generally in moments that rather than the system being an issue. And I think a bigger point has been, has he been playing too many defensive players in those wing back positions? But I thought Dorgu and Mazraoui actually had really good games. I thought even Luke Shaw hasn't had a good start to the season. I thought he played well as well. I think generally speaking, apart from Casemiro's moment of stupidity, you could say all of the individual players, you could say something good about them, right? Pretty much.
When I saw the lineup, I thought I was a bit disappointed. We're playing at home and we've got Mazraoui, in that wing back position. Would you have liked to see Ahmad as an example? A bit more of an attacking option, a bit more of a goal threat going forward as well.
Yeah.
But actually, when you start to see it in the flesh, and to your point, if we are going to play that sort of back four, then of course you want Mazraoui to sort of shift back into that traditional back four, right back, and have Dorgu on the left, sort of pushing up. But it'll be interesting what he does now moving forward, because I actually think Mazraoui, every time he plays, he's really impressive.
Yeah, he's really
defensively, one of our best defenders, and just great composure at all times as well. And he strikes me as a bit of a leader too, and this team clearly lacks leadership. So he needs to play. It's just a question of how you fit him in now, in a system that we know he's obviously going to continue with.
Cabs, you're in the Ruben in camp. So as the neutral of the group, did you get time to watch the game or see the highlights?
Is that because Cabs is part of Sheikh Jassim's
another
wanting the full
AI.
collapse of the club for the takeover?
So I did watch the game. It was interesting. In terms of, I think it was a little bit redundant. There was so much water on the pitch. It felt like it felt like a Sunday League
You're
game.
trying to say it's playground football?
And basically, I mean, it fitted quite well with Manchester United's football, right? I mean, basically, amateur football, like you're basically running around and sliding around, and and somebody hits a big ball. But I don't think, and also, you're making, with all due respect, I think you guys are making far too wide-ranging conclusions on a game that essentially was a non-event as soon as you were playing against 10 men, right? And I think Azar's point's actually really valid, is that if you want to see this kind of structurally what he's trying to do, is probably a good way, because it's a training ground game, right? You're playing against one less player. You want to see where the patterns of plays are. This is basically how you can map that out. One thing I disagree here, though, just Ron, I think you were mentioning that Mazraoui being there is quite helpful in the back four. Well, actually, no. If your entire premise of your attacking football is to have a 3-2-5, but you're trying to do a 3-2-5 using three centre backs, then it's the exact opposite. You want Mazraoui, you want your wing backs to be extremely good at being able to go high and wide, to be able to create, not to sit back. Structurally, that's what he's trying to do, right? Because if he wasn't trying to do that, you wouldn't have two central midfielders, because defensive mind, or theoretically defensive minded midfielders, because they're not running past the ball at the moment. What you're doing is you're basically playing 3-2-5, but with five behind the ball, essentially. Right? And I think this is going back to, and I think my previous criticisms with Amorim, again, look, I'm going to keep saying this. This was my reaction to Amorim the day we got linked to him, after I watched a lot of games of his. I think he's an inherently defensive manager. He's a reactive manager. So therefore, I think he tends to have more players behind the ball than he needs to. Now that he doesn't react to that, and I'm not sure how well Manchester United as a club aiming for the top, like as in pretty high up in the league, is conducive to being that defensive minded. And I think that's what his default position is. So any time he's basically in a bit of fix, he'll just go a bit more defensive. And I think that's what you're going to have to deal with going forward. In terms of the game, look, I thought you were quite well, but then I have also thought, I mean, where I slightly disagree, I think you've started well in a few games. The difference was that you've got countered and somebody else, or the other team scored, all right, and completely defunct it. What happens to Manchester United every time I see them is that they play well for 20 minutes and then they go to shit, right? They concede a goal and the whole thing collapses, right? Or you don't score, you run out of legs, and then the opposition just smash you in the like Fulham was a classic example. I thought you were quite good for the first 20, 25, right? But then like I think on Azar and Ash's chat, I basically said there's no way you can sustain this because you were just running after the ball, but like aimlessly running after the ball. There was no like passing angles closing down. It was just like, oh, there's the ball, let's chase it, right? Which is great for 20 minutes because you can do it because you've got legs. But after like 40 minutes, you're knackered, right? And you can see this and this is where I am very, very skeptical of Amorim because I don't see any of those. People aren't intelligently closing down passing angles and creating and pressing areas. And
wasn't that the case, Kabir, when Klopp first took over? No, it was a bit hectic.
No, but it was.
Wasn't it a bit hectic?
It was, but
I thought it was hectic. Adam Lallana was going just mental,
you're
basically.
Right, for about a month. Which is fine. I mean, if it was a month, it was 2 months.
We've only had a month of the new front three, right? That's the point. Like, you can't count last season.
But you had a whole pre-season.
You
had a whole pre-season, though, right?
Yeah, and they're getting going. I think the pressing's actually been much better this season than last season.
So I don't see a distinct difference, personally, right? And I've watched probably 2-3 full games, and I don't see a difference. I see a lot of chasing after the ball. I see a lot of breaking. I see the ease at which people can just play around you. Right? There's just people just pass the ball. Like, I mean, even in the first half of the Fulham game, right? When you were pressing aggressively in your first 20 minutes, I mean, Fulham was still passing the ball around you because it's not I don't think it's structured well enough, and that's my criticism of Manchester of.
I think the difference, Kabir, is I guess when Mount, Cunha, and Mbeumo play. I know we haven't really seen that much this season because obviously with the injuries to Cunha and Mount. But I thought against Arsenal was a classic example.
I didn't think Arsenal were playing around us that much.
No, exactly. We were pressing
and
very well
in that game. One of the best
game.
passing teams in the country.
Yeah. And even the Fulham game, I thought we started very well with the press, and of course, Cunha and Mount got injured. But I just want to come back to, Kabir, your point about the system. And I agree with you. And that's kind of what I'm saying here is that when I saw the team sheet at home to Chelsea, I was disappointed to see Mazraoui as that wing back. I would much prefer, given that I know he's going to play through at the back, to see an attacking wing back in Ahmad play in that position. But as the game evolves and I was watching it through, he was reverting and pushing Mazraoui into a back four, a conventional back four, and Dorgu on the other side was so much more further afield. So he's not necessarily playing this, yes, of course, the system is three at the back, but so many times during the course of that game, and it might be that Chelsea had, in the first half, we had an extra man. Perhaps we don't need to have that sort of back five or back three, and we were sort of sitting in as a back four. But that's what's happening with Mazraoui. He's sort of coming in and playing that sort of conventional right back in a back four.
But I get that. But what you're talking about is basically in possession, right? You're in the in possession phase, right? The build up phase, and my counter to that is actually in a build up phase. You shouldn't be back. You shouldn't have a back four. Right, every proper.
I'd much rather an attacking fullback.
Yeah, because every kind of progressive team in the Premier League has a construction of 3-2-5 of some description, right? Whether that's the central midfielder drops into the back two, gets a 3, and then the fullbacks go. Whether that's a back 3 with kind of wing backs going, or Bournemouth. Everybody's got a different formulation of that, right? But essentially, all of modern football is constructed around this idea. Now, in certain
which is why I'd like to see Ahmad as that wing back. And this is if I was naming the team sheet.
So absolutely. The reason I've decided he's played Ahmad is because Mount and Cunha weren't ready to start. And I think he wants that front three to press. And I think Ahmad, Sesko, and Mbeumo are a good pressing unit. And that's what I think. I think that...
But your second line press is crap. It's non-existent.
The second line is, but the first line. So this
but then you just get passed round, right? Because you can't. You can't compress space.
It's true, but we defended the box well in this game, and we've generally defended the box okay. But we do need to improve. But you're right. There's a weakness through the middle of the team. But I'm saying, why did he play Ahmad there? I think if Mount or Cunha were fully fit to start, he would have done that run. I think that was the issue.
You think he does play like a aggressive wing back? I think on both sides.
I can't say for certain, but I think that the option wasn't there for him because he didn't believe either of those two could start.
Did he start Ahmad against Arsenal at home?
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he doesn't do that.
And Dallo was injured, which I think played a big part in the team selection this weekend.
And the thing is, with I agree in the team selection, but I still felt we were aggressive. We went forward and we were putting balls into the box and we were getting players into the box. And if I compare, for example, we are the 8th or 9th best team in the country playing against the world. We are the world champions now. Sorry, because obviously we've beaten Chelsea. So, but before the game, we were playing the current world champions, and I thought we were aggressive. You can compare that to I don't know if we'll discuss, for example, the City Arsenal game. I mean, Mikel Arteta's team selection was very defensive. He's always keeping 5 men behind the ball. When City went ahead, I thought Pep basically parked the bus and then went to a back 5 as well when he brings Ake on. The top managers are doing this.
No.
So
my counter to this is I think with Arteta, you're absolutely correct, right? But has that not been the criticism of Arteta for the last 2 seasons, right? That he's overtly defensive and plays for set pieces. Right,
but he has a much better, stronger squad. He doesn't need to.
He doesn't need to go.
We are limited in the options we have, right? We don't have the same quality of player that Arteta does.
No, agreed. I'm not disputing.
And we're not going for the league title. So a game against Chelsea for us is we are playing a team stronger than us. So it's natural to think, we need to resist the stronger team, isn't it right?
No, because I think this is where I disagree, right? Because I think there's an element where if you're trying to build something, right, as in like constructively build something for a long-term goal, then there are principles you should be putting in place as this is the default position. It doesn't matter if we lose a few games, right? But the default position should be this. Now, the antithetically, I think this is the issue that I have, right, with Amorim. Amorim keeps talking about, firstly, and again, look, he's Portuguese, so therefore it's not his first language, but he keeps confusing philosophy with tactics or like system, which is not the same thing. But my thing is that what you should be doing, and like every progressive manager would do this, is embed a system, even if you lose a few games, that's very progressive, that lets you beat. So if you're coming into a team that's aspiring to be top 6, right? What the aim is to beat the bottom 10 teams home and away, right? The rest of it you can work out. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter, right? Right. So what you do is you embed a system that basically allows you to do that, right? So you have to have an aggressive system that shows that actually this is how we play when we can swat these teams aside, right? Now my critique of Amorim is he keeps talking about embedding a system, but I don't see a system that's progressive in any way. I see a reactive system here, right? And you keep and your point is, well, no, but Arteta's got 5 men behind the ball. Yes, but Arteta's trying to win a league title and make that jump. You're trying to embed a system. Arteta embedded that system for 3 years with the passing and all of that stuff, right? And we can have a conversation.
We need to also win football matches.
But do you need to do that?
Yeah, it is a criticism of Amorim. He's not pragmatic enough.
No, but the point is, he's not pragmatic enough in what though? That's my question, right? He's not pragmatic enough by being fluid in changing his system, right? What he seems to be not pragmatic with is basically embedding a system that wins you those games. And I'm saying that's the flaw, right? The flaw is that pragmatism isn't defensive, right? Pragmatism can be all-out attack because I've got this bunch of players.
When you play a superior team, typically pragmatism is to be more conservative. Typically.
I don't think so. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think that just depends on which players, which comparative advantage you have in which area. Oh, you've got lots of defenders.
We have no comparative advantage against Chelsea in any area,
No,
right?
but
Or Arsenal,
but Chelsea
or City, who are the three teams of the 4 or 5 we played.
No, but
Or 5, yeah.
I'm talking about the holistic map of Amorim's legacy at Manchester United, right? There has been no progressive.
I'm talking. Last season doesn't count.
But it has to count.
Let's give up last season.
But you
We're
can't.
looking at this season. There's a new players. We've got brand new.
But you can't do that, right? Because last season is indicative of a progressive.
I can do what I want. No, because last season was just a mess. We're starting again, and we're playing better.
But why don't we then start again from today, or maybe next week? Like, why?
No,
why is it an arbitrary line?
If we start again from today, then we've got 3 points from 3. So
brilliant.
That would be ridiculous.
Yeah, but why not?
No,
Ruben in.
Exactly. It's fantastic.
Ruben in. No, we've got to.
It's arbitrary.
It's definitely Ruben in.
I'm definitely Ruben in. Like, look, this is
I bet you are
100%. Because fundamentally, look, I'm Ruben in, and the reason I am is because I don't see any chance of Ruben succeeding at Manchester United. Right, so I want him to be there as long as possible because I'm a Manchester United supporter, right? In the same way as, and I think, and my point is, if you want
do
to
you think Arteta would do a better job at United, or do you have the same criticism of him?
No, absolutely. I think Arteta would do a much better job because Arteta.
So what's the thing Arteta's doing at Arsenal that Ruben? If I'm saying that no, he's also being defensive.
Because Arteta's
Arteta doing?
Because Arteta has shown us that he can play passing football in this league and win games. He did it for the first 3 seasons. He got them from whatever it was.
So your issue is actually that we are playing more direct.
No, my issue is you don't play progressive football. You don't have a
No, but when you say progressive, that's a very esoteric term. What do you mean by progressive? What is progressive football?
I mean, you basically set up very, very defensively.
What is progressive football? Explain it
progressive
to the audience.
as in where you proactively play. It's not reactive. Right? It's not a reactive system where you're basically thinking. My first point of reference is to counter the tactics of the opposition as the center point of my tactical setup. Right?
So explain to us how we would in the Chelsea game why we were reactive. If we were on the front foot, if we were trying to score goals early, if we went into half-time 2-0 up, what was reactive and tell us why that was so bad?
But then my argument is that game is not worthy of analysis. They're down to 10 men after the first 20 minutes.
What's the next thing on the agenda then, Ash?
So we wanted to get a listener question in. You might have noticed our wonderful host Steve is not in the hot seat today because he's sunned it somewhere in the Mediterranean. But the listener question, quickly, is Kobbie Mainoo. Scott, discuss.
For me, I would have started him and pushed Bruno as one of the front 3. That's what I would have done. That would have been a bit more attacking sense. For me, I think you're fitting Bruno into a team and into a position that we know he can't play positionally. So you're actually retrofitting your best player for the past few years into a position that actually there are 2 other players that could probably play better positionally as a centre midfielder.
Who are the 2?
And Bruno,
who are the 2, Scott?
Well, both Ugarte and
both Ugarte and Mainoo. Okay,
yeah,
fine. Not Casemiro.
So no. Right, I think anyway, so I would have definitely started Bruno in one of those front 3. So yeah, I think from a Mainoo perspective, it's bonkers what's going on. It really is. It's mind-blowingly bonkers that this guy is not starting. It's a little bit difficult to gauge his performances because obviously he came on against City and I thought he was outstanding. The touches, the passes, and again he was able to close down, tackle. I just don't think he's getting an opportunity. And I don't know if it's the fact that he just doesn't fit, or he does fit, but Ruben doesn't want to upset Bruno, and then it doesn't upset Bruno because then it upsets his preferred front 3, as in Kuno, Mbeumo and Sesko.
My personal opinion on that, Scott, is I think Ruben's trapped himself with his mindset on Kobe, and he thinks in his head that he can't play in those positions that Ruben sets up with. But I forgot to mention this actually last week. I totally agree with you. For the cameo that he was on for in the derby last week, he was really good. He progressed the ball. He done enough in terms of off the ball, right? It's not great. We know that's one of his like areas to improve, and that's one of like Ruben's concerns. But I thought he was decent last week, and I think the main point from Steve is he got 5 minutes yesterday. Ron, I mean, in a game like that as well, Ogate comes on at half time. Other substitutes come on. Euro comes on. Cunha comes on, and the kid's not playing. And he was promised by the board to stay to play minutes because he's got a World Cup next summer as well. It's not looking good, is it?
The writing's on the wall for me. If Ruben stays in charge all season, I can see either in January or in the summer, Kobe will depart. Kobe wants to play football, and you look at the options as well. I mean, if this was the Arsenal midfield or the Liverpool midfield or the City midfield, fair enough. He may well struggle to get into that. But we're talking about we've got Ugarte, Casemiro, Bruno's not a central midfield player; he's a number 10. How he doesn't start, how he doesn't get in, frankly, is just mind-boggling. This guy's played in an FA Cup final. Played very well in the FA Cup final. He's played in the Euros. He is a generational talent for us. And how he's not starting, it's just absolutely amazing. I totally agree with you. I think at City, he was one of our better players. He came on progressively moving the ball forward. He can create. And I actually believe he can play in a number 6. I think he's got the ability to do that. What we're after and what we lacked so much last season was controlling games. And we're starting to see a bit of that at times, but he brings control to our game. Yes, of course, he might have the odd mistake, just sort of looking over his shoulder, but we've seen that already this season, the likes of Bruno playing midfield, being caught out for goals, going back the other way. Kobe's one of our better midfield players. He's got to play.
Yeah, and I think to bookend Manchester United-Chelsea game, Garnacho, his best mate, didn't get on the pitch, so good riddance to him. Moving 30-odd miles down the road, Cabs, Merseyside Derby on Saturday. Good win. The talk on the streets is obviously you're still not playing well, but 5 out of 5, top of the table, 5 points clear. What's wrong?
A lot, to be honest. First, I thought we were very good first half, to be honest, and then ran out of legs. Totally, we had 3 games in 6 days, with Atleti in the middle, so it was inevitable. But I thought the first half was probably the best we played this season. There was some.
Do you need Isak?
Oh God, he's good. By God, he's good. I saw him he came on in the Atleti game, and it's just his runs are just phenomenal. Like I cannot wait to see him kind of just.
But Ekitike, he's had a blinding start.
He has,
especially in FPL.
He's been very good. He basically the issue they play it very differently, but like the class, Isak's class is so it's so evident as soon as he steps foot on the pitch. So I mean, look, there's not a lot wrong. There's a lot of things we are still trying to work out the system in how we're playing. We've changed it quite a lot, trying to fit in a number 10 that's a creative hub, which we haven't had we haven't ever had since Coutinho left, and which is 7 years ago. And like you said, I mean, we're seeing a transitioning slowly into what Slot wants in his team, and the biggest positive for me is that we are trying to create a structure for the post-Salah world. How are we going to attack post-Salah? And I think that's obviously, as a Liverpool fan, it's been one of our biggest concerns between him and Virgil. And obviously Virgil's, I mean, I don't know how you replace Virgil, and hopefully we don't have to think about that for a couple of years. But so it's going well. We're starting. Things are starting to make sense. People are the new players are starting to find their feet. Kirkes was very good, I thought, on Saturday. It's probably his best game again for Liverpool. And Wirtz, has been slow, but you can. I mean, the talent's so there. It's just one of those where you eventually, like, how long will we wait? The one thing about Florian at the moment is that you can see that there's a pace element. That's the only thing lacking. The
Is
speed.
he struggling?
He's struggling
with the pace
slightly
of
with
the
the pace.
game?
Yeah. So like he just wants a second too long on the ball. But like I've said it to you offline, but like the way he just is able to caress the ball is just, it's like Gascoigne. It's just so, like, he moves the ball between his feet without even thinking about it. It's just beautiful to watch. So yeah, I mean, look, great start. Arsenal look pretty good, I would say, even though I'm a bit concerned about about City putting something together in due course. I'd be intrigued to see where the season ends up in terms of what the numbers are for who wins the title. I think that's the interesting concern at the moment. Well, not concern. I think like the question at the moment is this one of those where there's a bunch of teams that are going to take points of each other. Because I kind of feel that there's a lot of good teams in this league at the moment. Like even like Everton Football Club under David Moyes had Ndiaye, Grealish, and Dewsbury Hall in like the three behind the one. That's like that's ridiculous. That's like Champions League quality footballers there. And that's Everton, who were what 16th, 15th last season. So yeah, I mean,
they
like,
played well second half. Yeah,
they did, and they look like a really good team. And you know, Newcastle have been great. When we played them, they were really good. Fulham, I thought, would have been good. Sunderland have been good. Like, you go through the league and you're just like, well, where are the easy games here?
do you see
But just going back
Liverpool
to
coming
Isak,
back
once
into?
Isak's fully fit, who's in your front tee? Are you going to play Gakpo off the left, or is it going to be?
I think it will be the first.
Are you asking for FPL, Ron? Is that why?
Well,
Well, he screwed me over this weekend.
I was
put him
hoping
in as
you wouldn't find
captain.
that out, but yeah, probably am.
I think it will be. I think it will be Gakpo, because it's interesting. What we're trying to do is sort of a hybrid between a 4-3-3 transition into a diamond midfield. So what happens is that it becomes a 2. Half of the time we press in a 4-4-2 rather than a 4-3-3, which we used to, right? So what happens is there's a skew clockwise, where Salah becomes a striker with Isak, who press the two centre backs or close passing lanes, and then Florian becomes the 10. With Gakpo dropping, so he ends up being on the left of a diamond midfield. So he's the only one who could do that in that role.
The thing is, you've got so many games, right? You know, you've got obviously all the 4 competitions. You've got midweek, weekend. There's going to be rotation. There has to be.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think
Must be good to have the options.
To be honest, I thought, like, I mean, I've said this on the previous, but I thought coming into the season, I thought we were one light up in the front line, because last year we had 5 plus Chiesa. This year we've got 4. So that's the one issue, because Mo Salah misses 6 games because of AFCON. So that's where the concern is at the moment. Well, that's the concern in terms of the offensive line.
Could you push your new best friend? I say he's your best friend because he's on a first name basis. Florian. Could you push Florian into the front 3?
So we've tried that a little bit. I don't like him there personally. I think it will happen. I think it will happen as a game state. So if we are defending a lead, I think one of the things would be where we basically have him left forward in the Cody Gakpo role, where he drops slightly deeper, progresses, because he carries very well. He carries the ball very well, and he's also really good at as a receiver, a ball receiver from deep. Like, he's just very, very. It's one of his like superpowers of finding space.
I think to kind of, could you put your better than Kobe Mainu generational talent Curtis Jones then into midfield as well?
Well, I think that's where we've got like a 5 midfielders for 3 positions essentially. So that rotation, it will happen invariably between games. So we've got Curtis, we've got Macker, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, and then Florian Wirtz, and those 5 rotate and in and out, depending on game state and who we're playing.
Endo dead, basically.
Endo, yeah. We've been trying to get rid of him for 2 years. He refuses to go. He refuses to leave. But yeah,
just wants to get those
if I was in your position, I wouldn't be worried about anything. I just think Arsenal are going to be Arsenal. They're going to continue to do what they normally do, which is bottle it.
Scott, what do you think Arsenal will end up with? How many points do you think that their ceiling is?
Whatever. Basically, Scott says whatever they
80 points. I think
whatever they need to win the title, they'll get 5 less. Basically, right, Scott?
I think it's going to be that. And I think they've got more losses in them than anybody title challengers. I think that's just their nature, and I don't think they've fixed anything this season from last season. I don't think they've got a prolific striker. But I do feel that they are still the Arsenal. And to your point around, he started that defensive football in formation, or what do you want to call it, where the second half completely changed it. But I don't think he's brave enough to do that every single game from the start. I think that's his option to say, okay, Saka's coming back, from injury, so you'd expect him to take a couple of weeks to get up to speed, but dropping Eze was just criminal, in my view. So I just think Arsenal are typical Arsenal. They will drop points, and they continue to drop points. I think City, I think he's doing something there that this season's too early. I think he's probably next season, maybe the year after. I think he'll be there. A couple of players.
Do you think he'll be there for 2 or 3 years then?
I don't. You never know, do you, with him? It's like next minute he's leaving, and then the next minute he signed a new contract. So I think he's doing something. And I think this is probably his most challenging period as a manager. Can he actually rebuild a team? Now, I can't, and again, I wasn't close enough to his previous, obviously Barca and Munich. What he had there was an absolutely astonishing teams at Munich and Barca that won everything, and then he left at the time of when, there was an element of decline, where he's actually stayed within City, where now they've kind of, the old guard, if you want to call it, have now moved on, and he's brought in quite a lot of youngsters or talented players from Europe. I just think he's building something that may just take a little bit longer. So I think this season, I just think he's out of reach. Where I think for you, I just think you're still you're in that top tier at the moment. Well, I think everybody's trying. I think the others, Arsenal and City, are trying to get in there, but I think they're still second tier. They'll be close, but I don't think it's going to be. If you guys continue to play the way you're playing and the rotation that you've got with the squad that you've got, it's ridiculous. So, yeah, I think it's.
So, Scott, I actually think Arsenal's squad at the moment, based on what they've done in the summer, I would say it might even be slightly better than Liverpool's in terms of that 1 to 11, and then. Actually, if you look at their substitutes, their sort of second 11, again, 1 to 11, I think is super strong. I think they had an incredible window, as did obviously Liverpool and many other clubs. But I thought Arsenal bought really well. Where I agree with you, and I think a lot of us guys do, is I think Arteta, in terms of his tactics, his lineup, he goes ultra defensive. And I think to go and win a league title, particularly when you're competing against Liverpool, City of the world, you've got to be attacking. You've got to go for it. And too many times in games over the last, couple of seasons now where they finished second, he's had opportunities to really go for it. And he hasn't quite done that. And I think that's where they will probably end up short again. And we saw it yesterday to a certain degree as well. First half, cautious. And second half as well, you could see City was sitting in. How many chances did they really create? Did they really go for it? Probably not.
So, Ron, fun question for you. If Arne Slot was in charge of that Arsenal squad, could they win the league?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. Which is why I think if Arsenal don't win anything this season, I can see this being Arteta's last season.
I still don't. I do get your point, but I disagree in the sense that they haven't got a striker. For me, they should have poached Isak. They should have done it really early. I don't know if it was all done and dusted, and that's Liverpool was the only club that he was ever going to go to. But if it was me, I would have basically said during the end of last season, that's the striker I want. Go pay the 130 million or whatever. And then the Eze. So I think those two positions, those two players would have turned Arsenal into the title favourites in my eyes. They still haven't fixed the centre forward. I don't rate that Gyökeres. He couldn't even score a flipping, get a barn door at Coventry.
We
and
were
he's
about to
coming,
sign
he's,
him.
and he's coming from a league that we've just got a manager from, that there's only probably 2-3 teams that are any good, and the rest of them are all flipping Division 3 teams. So it's a crap league, the worst in Europe. And you look at it and kind of go, they've just spent all of that money on a striker that I just don't think he fits for him.
Yeah, but he's got an 8-pack, Scott, and I'm not talking about beers.
He's more worried about his flipping hairdo than putting it in the back of the net. But I just think Isak for them would have accelerated them to title.
Ron, defend your man, Ron. You love Gyökeres. Come on.
No. I mean, to be honest, what I've seen so far, I agree with Scott. I think.
So you think we did a good job staying away from him in the end?
In the lesser games, fair enough, but in the big games, I think big question mark. But to be fair to him, again, 5 games in, new league, we know what it's like coming into England. It's very difficult. Yeah, I'll take your point, Scott, in terms of that centre forward for Arsenal. But generally, I think if you look 1 to 11, they are stopped, and some. For me, it's more about the manager. His defensive approach could well cost them the title. Yeah.
I just want to go back to Liverpool. As you're very vocal on Liverpool whenever, especially United fans talk about Liverpool, because obviously they're winning, they still haven't hit like top gear. Are you worried because they've won 5 in a row with not playing well? We'll put aside the fact that Van Dijk is going to stay fit, but are you worried that Liverpool are going to get better, or do you think like they're going to play like this for like more of the season? Because it feels like they're kind of like at a crossroads in terms of the way they're playing.
I'm worried, of course. I'm always worried about Liverpool. I would say they've been shit this year. Whenever I've watched Liverpool, I'm like, how are this team winning these games? It makes no sense to me. They score all these it's always a last-minute goal as well. It's like you don't deserve the win and you get the win. It's really annoying, and that makes me worry because that shows you've got a winning mentality. That you've got 15 points from 15 when you don't deserve it. I mean, like the Liverpool-Arsenal game was dead. Nothing happened, and Szoboszlai hits one from 38 yards into the top corner. It's like, what's going on? It's just madness. So, you got to be worried when things like that happen. But the one thing I would say is, I'm with Ron on this. I think there are certain pressure points in their squad that if they lost, like not getting the Gahey done over the line, like if they lost to Van Dijk. Cabs mentioned they had 5+1 in their 4+1 with Salah AFCON this year, so there's another pressure point potentially. So I do think that the season hasn't really got going yet to where the tiredness and the injuries could come in, and Arsenal were very unlucky last season, have covered that. I think Gyökeres, I agree. Big teams maybe not, but I think in the smaller games could convert draws into wins. And that's a big problem. So if Arsenal could have a bit more luck with the fitness and Liverpool have a bit bad luck with the injuries, we'll see around that AFCON time. We'll really know. But yeah, you got to be worried when every time it's ridiculous. I didn't actually watch was it Burnley? And it was like they couldn't even beat Burnley, and then somehow they got a fake penalty because they whacked it against someone's arm. It's like the Champions League final all over again. It's just, but it's like, I've just smashed it. He's nowhere near the box. They're not even creating a chance. He's right on the edge of the box, and you get a goal for that. Football's ridiculous. That should be an indirect free kick or something. How do you get a goal from whacking a ball into someone's arm? Nowhere. If he's on the goal line and he's like saving it, fine, right? Somehow we're lucky because we create a proper genuine chance, and the guy whacks him in the shin. Gets sent off.
Hannibal was playing basketball, not in football.
Yeah, but seriously, it's like he smashes the ball into his arm. And they get a penalty in the last minute, and everyone's got Salah as captain in their FPL team. I'm fuming. I mean, what's going on?
Scott, the fact
they're a man up against Newcastle, and Newcastle are going to get a draw. It's like, what's going on again? It's like somehow they bring some like 16-year-old kid off the bench and he scores in the 90-something minute. It's ridiculous.
And the Champions League, right? Last week as well, was it? If that's okay.
Honestly, I was just like, I'm baffled at how.
Yeah, but come on, I'm not. I can't. You look the Liverpool, but How many decades where
You guys
was
did
we
that,
like that?
absolutely.
No, 100%. That's why I'm worried.
1-0.
That's it. It's the
It's
mentality.
always used to be the
mentality.
case.
It's
Yeah,
like, yeah, it's
exactly.
mentality.
Yeah.
You
Like,
added
I
to
mean,
them.
Federico Chiesa played like 10 minutes last season and somehow comes off the bench and scores a worldie against Bournemouth. It's like, what's going on here?
Again,
It's unbelievable.
It's probability, right? It's a bit like, as much as when it was happening, I was like, how lucky at Man United, disgusting how lucky they get and how jammy they are. But ultimately, what happens is if you're parked in the opposition box for 20 minutes, at some point somebody makes a mistake. Right? Which is what you used to do, right? You just used to have strikers upon strikers just throwing people in. The one thing I've
and it's the ability to keep going,
exactly,
right?
all the way to the end, right?
The Newcastle game, you didn't settle, you went for it. You know, it's not like you're away from home. It's a pretty good result, actually. Away from home, you take a point at St James's. But no, we're actually going to try and win this game.
Another one.
And we were the same in the 90s.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I remember Ferguson just used to keep on putting strikers on, forwards, right? And this is one of the things I really, really, really like about Arne Slot, right? There was a conversation about before the Burnley game. He was just like, well, and they asked him, like, you know, did you? He was like, well, look, it's a 1 point, pretty much equivalent to 0 in this league. So, you know, I've just got to go for it. So I've just got, and you know, he keeps pulling these switches, right, where he puts Ryan Gravenberch, the attacking midfielder, as a centre back, is his basically break glass Yaya Toure switch. He goes to centre back and basically takes off a Ibu Kanate so that he has a progressive passer from the back that can progress the ball. Because, you know, in the last 10 minutes, we're going to have all of the ball anyway. We don't need two centre backs in the pitch. So these are the kind of things that I kind of really like and think it shows he understands this league. He understands you need 90 points in this league to win the league, which is going back.
Talking about managers, do you think Pep's starting to play slightly differently? You know, he's starting to sit back a little bit, you know, allow teams onto him and then go for the punch. Can you see a slight change in his approach?
So I'm fascinated by Pep Guardiola. I personally, and again, this is as a Liverpool fan, it gets me into a lot of trouble, but I think he's probably the most influential manager in the history of football. Pep Guardiola.
Why is a Liverpool fan? Did the Liverpool fans think Kenny Dalglish?
Well, no, I think it's always like, as in we've got the rivalry with City, right? So it's Klopp versus Pep, but like I think he's just the way, which makes he's too intelligent for this to be a fix, as in a temporary fix. He's obviously trying to put something together in a longer term. What happens with Pep Guardiola, I think, is that he sees the game a couple of stages before everybody else sees where the game is going towards, which is one of my issues with Arteta. Arteta is doing what Pep Guardiola did 4 years ago with his 4 centre backs, and he hasn't transitioned out of that. So at that point, Pep Guardiola was completely obsessed with out of possession, being great out of possession, and so because he was shit scared of Klopp's transition, so he just killed the transition, right? He just did not want to get negative transitioned on. Pep's gone away from that. He's now playing fullbacks that are fullbacks that go up the pitch. He's doing something like that. I want to see I'm quite intrigued to see what he's doing. I think he might actually be going away slightly, or at least going away from his stock positional play thing, which is why he's bought Doku and Reinders and all of these players who don't really fit that mold of like hardcore positional play footballers.
Hasn't he worked out that he's got the best striker in the world and he should play to his strength?
But he's had him for like 4 years, right? It's not as if this should be a new like realization to Pep Guardiola.
I think
as well. You make a good point there.
Yeah, City have messed up their recruitment, I think, as well, which means if he wanted to play the old way, it wouldn't work.
You don't think so?
Do you I don't think so, because like Reinders isn't as the control. I think Rodri needs to come back for one. Maybe when Rodri comes back, it'll settle down a bit. But all these it's an interesting. Do you think Pep buys the players and he's doing it, or is it the guys in the background buying the players? The recruitment's been a bit weird, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's fair. It is, but I still think he's got enough players to keep playing the same way, right? He's got Bernardo Silva. He's got who's the Rodri replacement that they bought?
But Nico Gonzalez isn't that good.
No, but he still does the job, right? So if he wants to play in that system, he could still do it. But he's decided to go away from that. And I don't think Pep Guardiola does tangential tactical fixes. That's my thing. I don't think he basically says, "Oh, I'm going to do this for 4 games and then I'll come back." I'll come back to how I really want to play. I think he just, because of the coaching element, right? He coaches, and he thinks everything has to be patterns of play that needs to be integrated into a system so much to within an inch of their lives, that the players normally say. So, Ron, what do you think? Do you think what do you think the end goal here is? What do you think the last, where do you think he's going?
No, I'm like you. I'm fascinated by the way he's playing. If you look at their stats, the possession is down compared to Man City. We know Man City over the years to control games, possession stats at 60, 70, sometimes even at 80%. Yesterday's game, I think, was a third of the ball they had.
It's the lowest percentage he's ever had in his management career, 32.8 or something like that.
Yeah. And going to Us's point, I think it was a really interesting point you made, as playing to Haaland's strength. They've got the best striker in the world. I know, Kabir, you might think differently with Isak, but to me, Haaland is the best striker in the world. His numbers are just phenomenal over the last few years. And I thought the goal they scored yesterday was like Haaland sort of going back to Borussia Dortmund days, right? Yeah. They were literally sitting in and then bang, counter punch, Haaland, strength, power, press, and he got through, linked with Reinders, and a great finish.
That's the benefit of Reinders, though. He is more of that like box-to-box athletic type midfielder.
This is why, before I was asking, what do you mean by progressive football? Because football is, the Premier League is getting more direct. You're seeing Pep Guardiola playing more direct and looking for those things. I think what's happened is what Pep Guardiola's done is he's seen what Ruben Amorim did against him when he was at Sporting Lisbon and goes, that is the future. And he's trying to play Amorim football at Manchester City. Because was it 4-1? With Gyökeres on the counter-attack, he's gone, right, I've got Erling Haaland. Scott's told me Gyökeres is a pub footballer from Coventry. I've got Haaland. So I could do what Amorim was doing, but do it even better. What do you guys think?
Does he have three at the back as well?
Well, he did. He went to a back five, didn't he, to try and defend the lead? And he's often, if you saw in the City against, like you were mentioning, Cabs, he'll often push in the full back into midfield to make a back three in the 3-2. Right, and then bring, you got the two number 10s floating in between the lines. Then the focal point striker. He's just, it's all Amorim ball at the end of the day.
If Pep was in charge of Man United team right now, we will win the league.
Wow.
There you go. There's your meme.
Bobby Maynard will be starring in that team.
I think we will, because I think he will automatically play to the strength. Coaching ability is, like Kabir's saying, it's out of this world. And like you said, he's probably 2-3 steps ahead of anybody else. And I think he will instantly change. Again, it could be, he'll do it at any other club. He will do the same thing. And I just think he's doing something. There's that, I hate to say it, but you can just feel it, that it's the first time in his career probably that he's had to do a rebuild, but he's rebuilding not just for 1 year, I want to win the title. This is going to be potentially scary, where he's got a team that is 3, 4, 5 years in the making of just domination again. But it's going to be a lot harder given what Liverpool have done this season. And I think that's what and again, I hate to say it, is that's what we're going to see for the next 5 years. It's going to be City and Liverpool, City and Liverpool. And I think
City and Arsenal Liverpool and Arsenal squads, though, are better at the moment than City's. Yes, you might have the coach in Pep Guardiola, and he's obviously amazing at what he does. But I look at those squads, Arsenal's probably just slightly ahead of Liverpool's, but I think the manager potentially would let them down. But even Liverpool's squad, I mean, Kabir, your attacking front line there, the options that you have, it's just out of this world. To compete in Europe and to play in the league, week in, week out.
Hasn't got going though yet, Ron. That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? Are they going to fire this season like last season? They were pretty consistent.
What do you think, Ash? I mean, in terms of your title favourites, out of those three, who at the moment would you say?
So it's a good segue, because that's what I was going to discuss with the rest of you anyway.
So
well done.
Yeah, exactly. My original pick was Liverpool. I see nothing to change that. I'm actually with Scott in terms of, like, I'd still have Liverpool squad because of the X Factor players. Like, I want Van Dijk, he's a gun player. I want Salah, he's a gun player. I want Alisson, he's a gun player, because as mentioned it earlier, these guys know how to win. They will win more of the big football matches than Arsenal. Arsenal, in terms of numbers, have a better squad. I love Eze. I think he's already been underused. I couldn't believe he didn't start at Anfield. Again, he didn't get started yesterday, but I don't see any reason to change. Scott, who was your original pick, and are you switching?
I can't remember, but I think it might have been Liverpool, so I'll stick with Liverpool. But I've got a funny feeling I may have put City at the beginning of the season, but I think it's Liverpool. Others will have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Liverpool was my choice, and I think Liverpool, I think in the end, will comfortably win it. It's going to be a double-digit margin, I think.
As?
I'll stick with Arsenal, but they've already got 5-point head start. Right, that's the thing. It shouldn't be a 5-point head start. It should be about level. Based on performances, it should be about level. XG or just performances generally. Like I said, Szoboszlai, unbelievable strike rate. Is that Arne Slot? Is there, it's just unbelievable. Sometimes the ball just hits the post and goes in, and that got them the 3 points in a game which to me should have been a draw. And with the 5-point head start, Liverpool probably are now favourites. But I might as well stick with Arsenal. Hopefully Saka can actually have a full season again. Like it'll come down to the fitness as well. I think Arsenal do have a good squad, but it's key players staying fit. You've got to have your Havertz and your Sakas and your Odegaards playing more minutes. If Liverpool have their key players playing more minutes, we'll see. The player I'm interested, I want to know your opinion on this actually. Why I don't think it's got going is I think an underrated player who Liverpool have lost is Trent. No Trent with the deliveries. Do you think you're missing him, or do you think no, actually you're fine without Trent, and it's more getting used to, different Florian, your best mate? Like what is the thing that you think? Do you think it'll just naturally come together, or do you think Trent will be a loss this year?
Should we take Ron's view first on the who's going to win the league?
Who's going to win the league? If you put Arne Slot or Pep in the Arsenal dugout,
I thought you were going to say that
wins.
United are going to win again, like Scott.
We're back.
Scott would have us winning the league, wouldn't he, with Pep?
Exactly.
If you put any of those managers, Arne or Pep, in the Arsenal dugout, I think Arsenal win the league. I think the manager lets them down with Arteta because he is defensive in terms of being able to make the right decisions at the right times. I said Liverpool, unfortunately, from my perspective at the start of the season. And I think Liverpool, particularly now with that 5-point gap, should win this league.
Cabs, Trent?
So the Trent question, yes, we are missing him. I think it's inevitable. He's basically the best on-ball value footballer on the planet from his position. I think it's hard not to. Also, I think he was really pivotal to our offensive game because it just allowed you to count whenever we got pressed and weren't able to play through the midfield. You could just bypass the midfield and he can just basically get one of the wide players in possession. The thing is, and I think you're absolutely right, this is one of the reasons why it's not working, because what we're doing is we're now replacing that with structural build-up and a 10, right? And that requires everybody to shift. I think that, in combination with the fact that Mac has just been injured and not been on it, who was probably our best midfielder last year. Even though Gravenberch was fantastic for the first half, he was absolutely brilliant. But I think overall, Macca's influence, because he's the only player in the team who can slow the game down and quicken the game. So he actually has the ability to kind of set tempo. So I think a lot of those things are feeding into it. So yes, but I think this whole setup, this whole acquisition this year is basically partly to make up for that, right? So you have a number 9 who runs in behind to create space for a 10 to basically be able to be that creative ball player, which you couldn't really do with Trent because then you had Mo Salah doing other things and you wanted that and he was you had to compensate, your midfield had to compensate for Trent being a number 10 playing right back. So yes, the answer is yes, and I think that's partly why we haven't looked great. The one thing I would slightly be at odds with, and I know you've mentioned this, that we don't deserve to win the games, and I don't disagree with the Arsenal game. But I think what Arsenal do is they set themselves up to with such small margins to win games that the opposite result is viable. They don't try to basically blitz team and get leads, right? Which I think which therefore means that they're predisposed to either having a bad day up front or somebody just basically scoring. In which case, then because it's always that one goal margin that they're playing for, that basically means that they don't win enough games. And I think that thing is endemic in the way that Arteta manages. And I think again, yesterday was the example of that, right? Where, with all due respect, this City team at this point in time isn't one that you needed to basically have 7 defensive players on the pitch for at home, right? Especially because you have Eze, right? The kind of player who completely disrupts us. And so I think that's where that's going to cost them. Now, the interesting thing is, and I think, Ron, I think you alluded to it, or I think both you and Scott, is whether he's got the guts or sees something after that second half performance that says, actually, no, maybe I'm going to start doing this going forward. Whether there's because he's
right, we'll find out next week.
We will,
because
they're
playing
right?
at Newcastle. He started Trossard yesterday. I thought that was a big indicator. I think that's, slightly going back to the Ruben conversation, that's kind of like where the negativity or the conservatism comes around the Ruben talk. It's the selection. So if Trossard starts, like where this is going to what probably Scott's mentioned, like this could be a big Liverpool win in terms of like points wise.
I think what you guys feel about, Kobbie Mainoo has to start, etc., etc. I think Eze is so good,
yes,
that once he sees how good he is, he will 100% just have to play him, because he is actually brilliant.
He's a gun player.
He's brilliant. He's brilliant, and I just think.
But where would you play him though? Where do you play him?
The left.
You would play him in the front three, not in the midfield.
Yeah. Saka on the right. Eze on the left.
I would be perfectly happy with playing where Rice is playing, the left of 3 as well.
Yeah, I would be inclined to that.
I could play him in those roles as well. Yeah.
You wouldn't play Odegaard, right? You'd play Eze. But Odegaard's the captain. That's the issue. Well, I guess Arteta won't change that, but
but
I agree
in
with you.
Yesterday's game, for example, just move Rice across to the right and put Eze on the left of the 3, like in the central position, to be more to have influence.
So you're not going to play Odegaard, right? He's your club captain.
You can. It depends on the
just take him off.
Yeah, on the specific game situation, you can play Rice in the 6 and play Odegaard and Eze if you want to be more offensive. But obviously, this is Arteta. But yesterday, it's just like, come on, Marino and Rice and Zubimendi.
He did it against us.
And I think with you guys, Anfield is the thing, right?
But
it's like it's an intimidation, and it kind of basically. But you say like the way Arsenal set up, leave it to that. But you guys didn't create bugger all either. How did you score in that game? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
But I think it partly. So the first half we weren't very good. I thought the second half we looked like we actually wanted to play football, right? But then you're playing against, as you've all mentioned, a very, very good team that's got 7, 8 players behind the ball consistently, right? To the extent where Martinelli was playing as an auxiliary right back. Right? So the point is, like, even his forwards are so deep that what are you going to do? Right, especially at this point in time in our team, right?
But would you agree Anfield is something different?
I think this is my point. I don't think so, because I think there's an element where this is the time to basically put the marker down. Liverpool are transitioning into this new team. They've got lots of flaws. You can see it. You can see that they're basically not set yet, right? So, and you've got the players. It's not as if, and look, let's be completely honest. It's not as if we're saying Eze is some wild card that we're putting in. That's basically, we don't know what we're going to get, because, he might be good, but he might not. He's a brilliant footballer, as you've all said. We've seen him for the last, 5-6 years of just destroying teams. And he can just,
And that's the bit about going for it, right? Actually, can you imagine winning at Anfield in the first month of the season? What a statement that would have been.
I forgave
and they had that last season as well. I remember they had their chances and they didn't quite go for it. And it's that piece with Arteta where he's sort of grappling.
It's the David Moyes handbrake.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Do you think he was in the plans though? Just I found it weird that the way they came in and the timing they came in.
They just wanted Spurs to do the deal so that they didn't have to do the heavy lifting of negotiations.
Is that true?
I don't
buy
know
it either.
I don't think he was like
I think
That's the
Havertz got
player we
injured.
want.
That's what
I
it
thought
was.
it was that as well. It's a
They weren't going to
reactive.
buy Eze, and
But
then Havertz got injured.
But they leveraged
and they
off
changed their
that.
mind.
No, they definitely leverage off it. But I'm with Ron. I don't think they.
No, they did, but I think it's the Havertz
Yeah.
injury, and I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
Is Havertz? Is he out for a few more months?
Yeah. That
Right.
was the trigger.
So that was
Yeah.
the game changer.
Yeah.
Had Havertz not got injured, I don't know if they had bought Eze or not.
They
might have
were
gone to
working him in all summer, basically. So that was true. They didn't want to pay the fee that Palace wanted. And if Havertz hadn't got injured, I don't think they would have paid the fee Palace wanted. But because Havertz got injured, they were like, okay, we'll pony up the extra 15 mil. And because
They were left with no choice.
and because Spurs were getting him as well, so they couldn't wait on it. So this is like a sequence of events that happen that I think means that Arsenal are going to win the league. Thank God.
Thank
It's
God.
interesting because I think if you look back,
I don't want Liverpool to win 21, Scott. I can't deal with it.
Hey, that's how bad it is, guys.
Actually, I was just going to say, just very quickly, if you look back over the years, defensively, it's teams that are defensively sound that typically win league titles. And I think that's what Arteta is banking on. Defensively, you could argue,
Ron,
obviously,
you say
Van
this.
Dijk at Liverpool.
Interestingly enough, the statistics don't back this up. Statistically, the team that scores the most goals actually wins the league much more often than the team that has the best defense.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting because I know historically it's
But
always been
the actual theory, though, is always that, isn't it?
It's always that.
Sound
The amount of times I've heard
And
that's what he's
Jose
banking on.
Mourinho quote: "Clean sheets win you leagues." So we got some breaking news, guys. So it's Ballon d'Or night. So we've had some of the news clippings come in. Our boy Scott McTominay was number 18 on the list. Who would have thought it, eh?
I know,
Scott
shocking.
McTominay on a
How is he
Ballon
not
d'Or
in the
list.
top 10?
Exactly.
Top 5.
He was the player of the year in Italy. Napoli won the league.
Won them the title.
Who the hell's above McTominay?
So do you want a few of the names?
Well, Dembele must have won it,
yeah.
surely.
Yeah, I think he would.
Ousmane Dembele is the new Ballon d'Or winner.
Yeah. And
well
Lamine was
done.
number 2, was he?
Lamine Yamal was number 2.
Who was 3?
Rafinha?
Nah, they would have split.
No.
Would have split the vote. Mo Salah?
Mo Salah is not in the top 3.
Wow.
No way.
Wow.
Yeah, they didn't go deep enough in the... But what about Vitinha?
Vitinha's number 3.
Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah, Vitinha. Because PSG, right, got to the final, and he was one of their best players.
He was brilliant.
Anyone want to guess where Mo Salah is on the list? Top 10?
7.
Higher than that.
5.
4th.
Not bad.
Unbelievable.
Where's our mate Harry Kane?
Harry
Top 10?
Kane did not get in the top 10.
Didn't do shit.
Wow.
Oh, Jesus.
He won his first trophy, didn't he? It's like his greatest achievement ever. And he's not in the top 10. He scored about 80 billion goals for them.
And his numbers, his goals.
His goals were- But I
He
mean,
scored so many
they
goals.
didn't do anything in the
They should be
Champions League.
sponsored by whatever La Liga is called these days, that flipping trophy, I tell you. Should be just a Spanish trophy that people win.
But a French person.
Actually,
I mean, even
yeah.
Mo Salah should have been higher than 4th.
God,
It was a Champions League thing,
this is the problem. It's so Champions League centric, or if it was World Cup, because like Salah should be at least second on this list, but because of what Barcelona did in the Champs, getting to the semis, that's why Yamal has got second. But yeah, it's astonishing.
Or as Scott says, it's just La Liga, isn't it? If you play in La Liga.
Well, this year Real Madrid are not there again, but this time they have a game, and actually PSG, who obviously dominated this.
And Enrique, I guess, won the manager.
He won manager. Do you want to know who won the goalkeeper of the year?
It's got to be
Donnarumma.
Can we say that he made a mistake leading to a goal? Are we going to count that? Because everyone's like, oh, Onana makes X mistake leading to a goal. Was that a Donnarumma mistake leading to a goal?
It was a brilliant finish, I can tell you that much.
Second game, mistake leading to a goal. And of the things that he's weak at, right, which is the kind of sweeping. We talk about ball playing, the sweeping. He had one punch as well where he punched it straight up in the air. Is he worth £500,000 a week?
Is that what he's on?
Good? Yeah, he's on a ridiculous amount of money. So yeah.
Yeah, but then I thought wage-wise he was on a lot, but if you saw him against Arsenal,
his best game of the year last year.
I just thought there's a way he can come out, punch it, clear it, and His actually footwork and groundwork is pretty good.
Not
pretty good.
Not according to Enrique, because he just got shot him.
Well,
Not according to Enrique and Hazard. Yeah.
I actually agree with
Yeah.
that. By the way, I don't think he's good on the feet, which is why I was really skeptical about when City bought him. Again, going back to what the hell is Pep doing? Cooking up.
Amorim ball.
we could
Told
have
you.
something.
Yeah, Ruben Amorim is ahead of his time, and we will see if Le Mans might start next week, Saturday. On, you're going to be there
I'm going to be there.
in the away end, yeah.
I want to see Mainu in the number 6. Do you think I'll get Mainu in the number 6?
Should I
I
tell
think
you why?
Scott might get Sydney Sweeney before that.
the fake account of Sydney Sweeney on Twitter.
God, I think Ash is right. There's probably more chance of that.
And on that bombshell, we thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.